Yeah, for sure. So I'm Vasili. You're Zach. Nice to
Yeah,
meet
I
you.
mean, yeah, you too. I appreciate you hopping on, and Taylor she did a little bit of a small, like really short background. So, we'd made a post a week ago about a rental property. It sounded like you were big in real estate as well. From what I could tell, or what Taylor could tell me, it seems like you're in the freight brokerage business. Are you in liquidation at all, or is it primarily freight brokerage?
No, so freight brokering, but I do have a lot of customers they do what you guys do, like the
Got
liquidation
it. So you're
side.
familiar with the space, but primarily the freight broker. Well, very cool. The reason I wanted you on the show or on the podcast and what our goal kind of is with our content from day one, I've been a big proponent of real estate. When we first started liquidation, and what I still try to teach people is I don't look at liquidation for us as like the long term end all business. I look at it as a tool to, to create capital to fund our real estate. And that's what we've done for the last 15 years is every extra dollar has gone into investing in real estate. And we've got a big portfolio now. Um, so I'm looking for more people who have kind of made that same decision, whether it be in liquidation or other spaces. It sounds like maybe you're on the same wavelength as we are. With it sounded like 30 properties is what you're up to right now, based on the comment.
Yeah, yeah, correct.
That's awesome. Now break it down. Primarily residential, commercial.
Yeah, so it's all single family homes, pretty
Okay.
much. There's one duplex in the mix, one triplex in there, but it's predominantly single family homes.
Okay. Yeah. What area are you in?
So I'm from Chicago, so it's like south suburbs of Illinois. hmm
How long have you
But
been?
out of
When
Cook County. Cook
got
County is I'm not sure if you're familiar, but Cook County's got some pretty bad like landlord laws. They're more towards the tenant side.
It's definitely so not familiar. I've been to Illinois one time and I was like super pumped to get out. Well, no, I can't say that twice. I've been to Springfield. I want to say it was Springfield. It was not the best experience. But I have heard the landlord laws up there aren't as landlord friendly. But dive into that a little bit. Explain what you mean by that. What kind of experience have you had where maybe it was a struggle that the tenant had more rights than maybe you think they should have? Because we deal with a little bit of that down here. It's not as bad.
So like I was saying, I'm outside of Cook County, so I don't deal with that in general. Of course we'd have to evict people once in a while. Normally only takes like 2 to 3 weeks from start to finish.
Wow.
Compared to like in Chicago, it could take, you know, 6 months plus, even just to get a court date.
That's crazy. 2 to 3 weeks is pretty quick. For us down here, we're sending the late notice. It's a 7 day. It takes about a month to get a court date. And then typically, I mean, we haven't had any issues once we've got the court date getting them out of the house, but, for us, it's about 2 I'd say 2 months on average from start to finish by the time we've
Start to
started the process
finish.
getting them out of the property.
Yeah, and where are you at?
We're 30 minutes south of Atlanta. We're in Fayetteville, Georgia.
Okay, so Georgia. Okay, nice. I've
Yeah,
only
I
been to
mean,
Atlanta one time,
ours is
just
pretty
driving
split
through it.
up. Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, I was saying I've only been to Atlanta one time, just driving through it to Miami.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, we've been really fortunate. We've been doing this for 15 years. This year's been our worst, and really our first year we've had evictions. I mean, we had my very first property, my very first tenant I had to evict, and it was kind of a shaky start. Like, do I actually want to do this? Because I'm like my first time around, we're evicting the guy. But now our portfolios, it's pretty split up. We have a lot of commercial, single families. We've tried to like kind of slow down and pull out of it just because I make a little bit more money with the commercial side. But I like having some because I mean, one thing's for certain: our residential always stays leased up. Like people are always needing a home. We never have problems filling it. Every once in a while, the commercial might sit empty for a little bit, and we like to kind of not keep all of our eggs in
Yeah.
one basket. When did you buy your first? How old were you bought your first?
So now I'm 30. I'll be 31 this
Okay.
year. I bought my first property. Next month in July will be 3 years since the first
Oh, as you
property.
scaled relatively quickly.
Yeah, it was pretty aggressive at first. Aggressive accumulation. the last year has been kind of like I don't think we've bought anything in about a year actually. Um,
Okay. So you say we, are you doing it solo or you have partners involved, or what's the structure look like?
Oh, no, no, yeah. I've got partners, yeah, for sure. Bunch of partners. Like, I've got, like, 4 different companies if I wanna dive into it, and it's, like, split up, like, X amount of houses are with this group, X are in this group, X are in that group.
Yeah. So out of curiosity, working with partners, especially in real estate, how has that been for you so far? Do you like everybody typically on the same page? Is there a structure for someone making day-to-day decisions, or you guys make them as a group?
Okay, so pretty much I'm, like, in charge of, like, the day-to-day everything, me and we've got 2 managers as well who, like, work under me,
Okay.
right? um, like one for the office and one who does like the day to day, like, he's a manager, but also maintenance guy, right? So I got lucky on that end where like my handyman is also a manager and, we gave him a company phone and he's got contacts for all the tenants. He does all the running around stuff, right? And then we've got office, for, leases, leasing properties, all that type stuff. And then like I'll be like I guess you call it like the executive branch, right? Where I have to make final decisions and whatnot, pay all the
Sure.
bills, keep everything flowing.
Yeah, it's got to stop. It's got to stop with somebody.
Yeah.
That's for
Yeah. Like the yes or no. Hmm.
somebody's got to give the final word. Well, cool. So, one thing I like to ask people, especially in real estate, is what gets people to watch these videos is people love to hear when we struggle and when like shit goes wrong. They like, for whatever reason, could care less when like we're doing really well and this tenant was amazing. No one wants to hear about like the fun tenant stories where this lady left my house amazing and she was just the best person ever. They want to hear about the worst person ever. We actually did a walkthrough today, um, of a tenant who 8 years in the property, and I knew before we walked in, and I had already, like, at the house that we posted the picture of, I kinda resolved myself. I knew it was gonna be rough just because I knew the lady, old age, but we had paid 90 grand for the house, and she'd been in the house for 8 years, and our payment's $200 a month, and we charge $2,100 a month, so she's paid for this house twice over. So, like, mentally, I had to tell myself, like, we've already made we make crap load of money on this property. You cannot be upset. This lady's paid for it. But I've never, I can't say never, it's rough. I mean, I've never seen spider webs so big from someone who was actively living in a home. It's rough.
Yeah.
It's rough. And there's been worse, but this one was a tough one. So you've got 30 all residential. I'm sure you've got at least 1 or 2 stories to tell that we can clip and get people interested here.
Man, really, I don't even know where to start. There's so many. Like from cockroaches to bats in the house to anything. A lot of my houses are pretty old.
Mhm.
Like late 1800s, early 1900s. Um,
Okay.
Predominantly, I try to get like Section 8 tenants. Typically,
Okay.
though, that's the best way to go with single family homes. And to be honest, all my problems came from cash tenants, right? Like people leaving with, cockroaches, bed bugs, or, maybe there's a hole in the attic somehow and a bat gets in the house. And then tenant wants to withhold rent and doesn't, tries to pretend to be a lawyer because there's a bat in the attic that's not even getting into the house, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're going to court over this, like these small things like that, it's crazy.
Yeah. Now that
I
ChatGPT is a
guess
thing,
those
we've
would be
had that.
like, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, we're having there's a delay that I don't know why I'm not used to the delay on the I just with the lawyer thing, it's so funny because with ChatGPT now, everybody thinks they have a lawyer in their pocket, and we've had a couple instances where legalese are trying to talk to us like this is the law, and they copy paste their ChatGPT answer, and it's very clearly ChatGPT, and yeah, and just kind of move on.
Yeah. No, for sure. No, it's crazy. Like he would send me like demand letters asking like a security deposit back. Like the house is completely livable. Per the leases, like an attic is not considered living space, right? So if there's obviously there shouldn't be a bat in there, but it doesn't mean you can withhold rent, right?
For sure.
And
Yeah.
it's not like a
So you
structural
mentioned
problem and
section.
like bats.
Yeah, a bat's fine. Like, we can get rid of a bat. Maintenance guy can come out there, take care of it. Correct. There's no rent being withheld for that. You mentioned Section 8 though. And we've got an apartment complex that we want, like, we're in the process of applying for Section 8 for that property. It's kind of going to be our test to see how it goes. I've read a ton of books. I've watched a lot of people talk about it. Obviously, there's the horror stories associated with Section 8, and like the type of tenants you're supposed to, like, potentially get. Um, but obviously the biggest benefit is the US government writes the check, and that check, I'm
Yeah.
guessing, hasn't for you
Hmm.
yet. So what's your experience been with
No,
Section 8?
no, for sure.
You did it.
Honestly, I think they've been making it a little tougher. I guess it's all like housing specific, like each agency, each county or whatever.
Yeah.
It's they've upped the inspection process, making it a little bit more difficult. But in general, once you get a Section 8 tenant in, they typically stay. Like I've had people since we've bought the houses so far, about 3 years, they haven't left yet. Doesn't seem like they're
Mhm.
planning on leaving. Some houses I purchased that had Section 8 already inside, and they could be going on 10 years in the same home, right?
Wow.
Um, I mean, the house is, the rent's never late. Usually by like the fourth, it comes in every month.
Mhm.
Um, it all depends. Like if the first is a holiday or a weekend, like it's not getting paid, right?
Yeah.
It will be like the first business day after the first, and then every year there's a process to do a price increase.
Uh-huh.
And for the past 3 years, I mean, rent, for example, like on a 3 bedroom, has gone from 1,100 to $1,600.
Wow. Now how
So
does
it's
that
like,
compare
you know,
to, like, other rents in the area?
it's yeah, I mean, pretty comparable to like the cash market. It's probably honestly better.
Yeah. Yeah, when we looked at the rates, I noticed that for, like, a 1-1, which is what our apartments are, it's, like, 1,100 for Section 8, and we get 950, which is still, like, for the area, it's 950 for that 1-1 is aggressive. People pay it, but $1,100 is better than $950. So, um, but I do have 2 follow-up questions with the Section 8. You mentioned you bought a couple that had Section 8 tenants in them already. Did you have to do anything
Uh
different?
huh.
Did the Section 8, since the house was already approved for Section 8, were you kinda grandfathered into that, or did you have to reapply to keep Section 8?
No, no. It's okay. Let's say you buy a house that has Section 8. You just, you make a new lease. You just send that lease on an email to the housing authority, and then they'll start back paying you from the date that you purchased that. Once the day you closed.
Got it. Okay, so there's not like a
Like,
reapproval process. That house has been approved, and you're just
no,
letting them know
yeah,
it's a new owner.
yeah. Typically they'll do like an annual inspection. That's it, like once a year.
Yeah,
And they'll be looking for tenant deficiencies and landlord deficiencies. And if tenant, let's say tenant has like the stove is dirty or something, or the bathroom's
yeah,
dirty, right? Like obviously they're occupying that space. Like that's not your uh problem as the landlord. Like they'll have to clean that or whatever. And if they fail to like, okay, the inspector will come, mark off like all these things for the tenant. And then if there's nothing for the landlord, okay, whatever. And then if they come back, let's say a month later and reinspect and tenant has not completed those problems, like they could be at risk of losing their voucher.
got it. So there's a little bit of shared responsibility between tenant and landlord to make sure everything's good on both sides.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I'd say the bulk of it is up front with the landlord. And
Mhm.
then with the annual inspections, like, because, tenants are calling you as soon as problems happen. So then you got maintenance out there, you fix it. So as long as you're upkeeping your property, then things should be fine on the annuals. It's really the tenant who gets dinged every time the inspector comes back out.
Got it. Another question I had. It's still on Section 8, but unrelated. Government shutdown happened last year, right? Or was it this year? It's a couple times. Does that slow down your
Yeah.
payout, or are you still getting paid throughout that whole time?
No, yeah, we were still getting paid. Yeah, because
Oh,
the housing authority, I think, has like reserves
got it.
for types of situations like that.
Yeah. I was just curious when we were talking, I was like, I'd never thought to look that up before. But it's happened a few times recently. So how does that affect? It doesn't sound like it does, which is honestly kind of surprising to me, which is great though. I mean, you've got a guaranteed check every single month. You don't have to worry about you don't have to worry about those checks clearing. If the check doesn't clear, you got like, we all have bigger problems if the government starts bouncing their checks. Um,
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That'd be doomsday, right?
would not be good. So I don't want to take
The
a ton
cool
of your
thing about
time.
Section 8 is
Go
like
ahead.
there's this whole thing where like people think, 70% is paid by the government, 30% by the tenant, right? Are you still there? Hang on. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
70% by the
a
tenant.
lot of my
The
tenants,
assumption.
are full vouchers, right? Like they don't pay anything and government
Yeah.
pays it all.
It's kind of crazy. Do you have any that it is that split, that 70/30, or what's the biggest split, I guess I should ask, that you have?
The biggest split I probably have is like on a one bedroom. One of them is like right down the middle, like 450 each or so.
Got it. And so 450 each, and then what's the smallest split, like, where they're paying out of pocket?
Well, like if they're not a voucher, like if they don't have a full voucher,
Like, if they have a voucher, but they
because
have a
some of my
voucher for,
tenants
like,
have like it's 100.
yeah, so some have 100, one was split equally. What's the smallest split where they pay where the tenant themselves pays the least amount?
I have one tenant who pays $2 a month.
So, you probably don't even mess with collecting that, but, like, does he pay? Or do you say, like, "Don't worry about the $2," what do you do? I mean,
The $2
that's like
portion.
y
It's funny,
yeah,
right? He actually, when he moved in, he just gave us $24 for the whole year, right? Because that's all it was.
yeah, funny. Well, that's hey, he paid, which that was my question. I was like, is it difficult getting paid on people that have not a full voucher? Is it difficult getting paid the portion of the rent that the voucher doesn't cover? Obviously, the guy paying, $24 a year sounds cool.
It's definitely hit or miss, right? Like, and every time, like when you raise the rent annually, because okay,
Uh-huh,
when they move in, let's say they move in July 1st, which is tomorrow. So in the following July, 2 months before that, you can submit paperwork for a price increase. Because every October, I think, the new rates go into effect. So you'll have to check like
uh-huh,
the HUD website and it will tell you what the new rates are. Then you just mark on that paper like the new max rate, right? So like if their income has changed or whatever, like their rent, let's say before their rent was like zero, now they could be paying like 400. So now you're having somebody who was used to paying nothing, now they have to come up with 400. It could be a little tricky or I've had people go from like 200 to 400 and maybe they'll fall behind. But you just throw on, late fees, $10 a day is what we charge. We max it at 10 days just so like judges aren't like too crazy like, oh, what is this guy doing? Because I think if you max it at $10 a day for 10
yeah,
days, like you should have a good, like a judge will say, okay, this is reasonable.
yeah, got it. So,
So we kind of,
okay, that was my
that's where we
question. I was
kind of
like,
stop
how
it with the late fees.
got it. The $10 a day, 10 days, extra $100 on top of whatever they owe you. That seems to get the judge to move on it fairly quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, because then that way you could throw it in like on top of the like if you're evicting somebody or something, and they owe this much money, like let's say they owe
Uh-huh.
you like $500 um for like a rent 1 month portion or 2 months portion, and then you're throwing in an extra 100 each month, it adds up.
Yeah. How have you had a tenant move out? And if so, what was the time frame for Section 8 to replace that tenant with a new one?
Okay, so Section 8 does not. Oh, I see what you're saying. Like, from when somebody moved out, and then
Yep.
you find a new tenant because you have to find the tenant yourself, right? Um,
Got it. Okay.
and then yeah, yeah. So like, I post all my houses on like Marketplace or Zillow, for example, and then people are DMing me like,
Yeah.
"Hey, is this available?" Whatever, and then we filter like that. We'll do a showing. If they like it, you have to fill out a form. It's called a RAFTA, and then the tenant has to take it to Section 8. They have to be approved for the house. Section 8 tells you like, okay, this is how much money we'll pay for this house. Because let's say the house on their website is like 1,600, they might come back and say, well, the max we'll pay is
Mhm.
1,450, and of that 1,450, it's a full voucher, or it's we're gonna pay 1,300, and tenant will pay 150, right? Like they'll explain the split for you. It's called calculations,
Uh-huh.
and then from there you approve or deny, and then you have to set up an inspection. That's like that's, I guess, the hardest part. Because they could be backed up 1 week, 2 week. I mean, I think in general, if house is ready to go, like there's no repairs needed, you probably finish from start to finish 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks.
Okay. So I mean, just like realistically, anybody else, it's not that big of a difference from any tenant. I mean, because by the time we list a house for rent, we show it to a bunch of people. We got to do some minor stuff that the tenant wants done. It's usually by the time we find a tenant that we like to the actual like signing of the lease, it takes us about 2 to 3 weeks. It seems like for whatever reason, most people just aren't ready to go that day. I mean, every once in a while we get lucky and they're like, "I want to sign now," but usually not.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And it's like, um, obviously they have like lower income. So a lot of times you're working with these people on like you'll do like a 3 or 4 month payment plan for security deposit. It's kind of just like get them in, they're going to pay. And if not, you could always come back to section. I mean, not with security deposit, but it's like a tenant leaves, at least in my housing authority, and there's damage. You can file reports you could report to housing like a sheet of like all damages and invoices, and then they'll have to pay you back, or they'll lose their voucher, right?
The tenant would be responsible for the repairs.
Yeah, so like
Uh,
just
you're
a month ago, I had a tenant. She moved out, and there's cockroaches, there's furniture, blah blah blah, and her security deposit was probably like $1,000. Um, but then on top of that, it was like another $800 in bills that we had to spend.
Yeah.
And, we submitted those damages to housing, and now we're waiting for them to, reach out to her. And then she has to either, one, lose her voucher, which would mean like she'll get evicted from the new home she moved to, or two, get on a payment plan to pay us the 800.
Got it. So she's at risk for
So, I
losing
mean, it's a lot
the
of like
ability.
moving parts, right? Like, it's a lot of like, I don't know, I don't know how to call it, like babysitting, housing, babysitting, tenants sometimes. But in general, it's pretty good, It's not too bad. I prefer it.
Yeah, I don't I think people sometimes get real estate confused with, like, it's nothing but mailbox money and that you don't have to do any work with it. There is a lot that goes into it unless you and we're kinda feeling this now, right? We have so many properties that we still manage all of them internally, and I'm still involved with almost every step. I don't physically do repairs, but I'm the one that approves the repair. Everything comes to me to be
Yeah.
approved. And we're at this point where the real estate it's so big that we have brought people on to help to manage like the day to day with the tenants, but it's not quite we haven't quite broken through. We've got 40 individual doors between commercial and residential. So we're almost to a point, and I think we in the next 2 years we'll be there where I can bring somebody in that can handle a little bit more of it. But it's like we're at a point where I can't let it go, like just here pawn it off on somebody, or I don't know how to make that make sense. Like I still need to be involved because it makes a lot of money, but not quite to where I'm like, let me pay someone real money to come in and just manage the whole portfolio and let me kind of take a step back. I still feel the need to not nickel and dime, but like always want a good deal on repairs. Like I'm checking invoices, I'm checking quotes to the point like I want a good deal. I don't want to be screwed, but am I spending too much time worrying about this $300 over? Like I'm the one negotiating that bathroom replacement, right? There's a lot of activeness in real estate that I don't think people are aware of. Like, you don't just buy a house and the tenant pays you every month for 6 years, and then, like, it's a constant. You're constantly dealing with tenant issues, minor repairs. It is work on top of whatever day job you have.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's a full time, 7 days a week operation, right? Like things happen all the time. We just had bad storms in the Midwest. Sure, you heard about that with all the tornadoes that were hitting.
Yeah. I have a client,
I don't know if you
and
heard. Yeah.
on the
So,
liquidation, the whole warehouse got just like she sent me the video, and it was just like gone.
oh wow, really?
It's crazy.
Oh, that's
We had a
terrible.
truck supposed to her, and she couldn't take it. She's like, "I have nowhere to put it. I have, like, there's no roof to put it under."
And that's yeah. I mean, we didn't have much damage, just like couple just one roof, like a little bit of damage, like nothing shouldn't be too crazy. and hopefully insurance will pay something on it. But across 30 houses, all in generally in the same area. Like all the houses are probably within 5 to 10 minutes from each other. So and
Oh, nice.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the
Well,
houses
let
are
me
probably
ask you
about
one
4 hours from
question.
where I live. So like I'm never there.
Oh, so you get to handle a lot of it remotely, which is a plus.
But I'm actually in Europe now. I've been in Europe for the past 8 months.
That's what I'm
So
talking about. Well, with free brokering, like I imagine you can do most of that from anywhere you want. Same with the real estate. Once you have a management team in place, that is the nice thing. We go to Costa Rica next week and the rent checks still come in. We still get paid whether we're, in the office working on our liquidation business or we're out on vacation. The rent still gets paid. That side of things is always coming in. So that is one of the nice things about the real estate. You can manage it from just about anywhere.
yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I'm working on an 8 hour time difference. Like it's about to be 10 o'clock at night here. Well, 8 hours from Chicago. Um, like 7 from you guys. It's I mean, it calls for late nights, right? Because I'm working America hours, but it is what it is, right? That's where I'm at.
For
It's like it costs half the price of living in the USA. So like whatever you make, you could basically times it by two, and that's like what your purchasing power is here
Yeah, your money goes twice as far.
compared to like being in the US. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, let
Yeah,
me ask you one more question.
I reached out. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You had something. You reached out.
Yeah, I was saying, I saw you on them liquidation posts because, like, I was saying, I have like a bunch of people who are in liquidation that I like do their shipping for. But then,
Yeah.
like, I was talking to my buddies on the team, and I found out that you're already working with one of them, one of our guys, Colin.
Oh yeah, we've
I
done a
don't know if
couple
you've,
LTL shipments in Colin.
yeah, yeah, we're a small family owned shop. It's basically me, him, and Cade. We have a couple other guys too, but like I taught Cal and everything. Like me and Cade, it's he's my best friend, so we've been doing this for a long time. And I was like, man, he looks like he's moving freight. Let me try to get in with him. And then I saw that Cade's or Colin's already working with you. I was like, oh my gosh, crazy.
No, he's been super helpful with the LTL. We don't do it. We do more LTL today than we used to. And we move mostly full truckloads, but the broker we use for full truckload is not. She's great. She's just not gr- great at LTL shipments. And Colin's been fantastic. Super easy to get a hold of. Quotes come back super fast, and I mean he's I mean as aggressive on pricing as he can be. I mean I can't complain about his pricing at all.
We do full truckload too.
We've quoted him a couple times. I tell everybody like you're gonna be hard pressed to get me to pull away from our full truckload broker just because we've been working with her for 4 or 5 years, and I can tell her a city and she knows the customer.
Yeah,
I don't even have to tell her customer name
yeah,
anymore.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's so ingrained. Like it's not even about the rate anymore. It's just the ease of which I can book lanes. Because sometimes I mean I'll double check her, and sometimes she's higher than other people. But sometimes you just can't beat the communication you build with somebody over time, and that's worth the extra
For
like
sure.
200 bucks. But
Exactly.
really
Like
quick,
that's the thing. It's all about relationship.
hundred
Gotta
percent
grow
about
it and
relationship.
people will stay with you, you know?
100%, especially with I had one question to kind of wrap everything up, especially with the real estate stuff. What's interesting to me is you've built this portfolio while being a freight broker, so you've done this while working another job. That's a two-part question, I guess. One, what made you want to get into real estate? And then two, what advice would you have for someone who has a job or who's, running their own business that has debated purchasing real estate but hasn't quite made the jump yet?
Man, really it's all about your network, right? Like the people around you, like that's how rich you are. And if you could convince your buddies to go in with you who've got money and you could buy houses and you guys can have split ownership, right? And eventually you guys can have properties together. And 15, 20 years down the line, they're all gonna be paid off and you're gonna be making even more money without that mortgage note. So it's really just you gotta get up and go. I got I first realized about real estate, from Instagram and whatnot, TikTok, Facebook, reading posts like cash flow is king, of course. And you might have a bad year, you might have bad months, but eventually, like things are gonna level out. Rents are always gonna increase. Sure, like insurance and taxes increase too, but at the end of the day, like the main thing you're gonna deal with is a vacancy. And if you could scale enough, eventually you don't need to have an actual job anymore. You'll kind of just be working if you want to work. So it's more so like that freedom aspect. Like, okay, you could have stocks, right? You could go buy, let's say you have $1 million worth of real estate, right? And I say worth of it because you don't pay 1 million for it. You're gonna pay 200 grand because you're gonna go to the bank. Bank's gonna give you the 800, right? So if I took that 200 grand, I could go buy 1 million in real estate, or I could buy, 200 grand in stocks. The stocks, assuming like long term trends are gonna do like 10% a year, so you'll make 20%, 20,000, yeah, 20,000. Whereas if you could do even 5% on the $1 million of property, that's 50 grand, right? So it's
Mhm.
like the same purchase amount, money up front, but you're doing 2.5 times the return with just a little bit more legwork. I don't know if that makes
Ye
sense.
It makes 100% sense, and I think that's what that's with our content, what we're trying to explain to people. We've done this for 15 years, and we're just now getting into the content side of things. There's so much potential upside with real estate, and when you pair it with liquidation, and I know you're on the freight brokerage side, you kind of see the liquidation world from the outside, but the liquidation side, we get to double up in so many ways. We have so much of a capital return from the industry. We get to take so much of the product that we buy in liquidation and put it in our real estate. We get vanities, toilets, cabinets for pennies on the dollar, and we get to use those savings to put it in our rental
Oh
units.
yeah.
It's a huge upside. And I think another thing that, and it's been in the back of my head the last few days for me, and I think a lot of people, is the real estate's more tangible. I think a lot of people, I dropped out of school, all that fun stuff. I understand how the stock market works, but with real estate, I can feel it, I can touch it, I can go see it. It's there. And I think for a lot of people, the real estate might be the answer because we get asked all the time, like, what should we do? We have extra money. What should we do with it? And I always push real estate, especially if you're not 100%, understanding stuff like the stocks. I'm not a big fan of just giving my money to somebody and saying grow it. I want to be in control as much as possible. I think a lot of people feel that way. And with real estate, you have that option. You can work as fast as you want on it. I mean, it grows with you. It's not something you have to like. You can work one house at a time. It sounds like you blew up in a 3-year time span, did 30 properties, over the course of those 3 years. But someone without the capital can still get started with very little money up front, and they can grow at a pace that's more in line with them.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. Right. Like you don't need to go buy a 20 unit building. You could buy, like you said, a 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom house, 3 bedroom for hopefully not too expensive and get your foot in the door with like, I don't know, 20, 30 grand. Like the majority of our homes were between, 40 and 60 grand a house. Right. And,
Yeah.
the majority of them are renting between 14 and 1600 a month, I'd say.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah,
The
I mean, now
barrier
they've
for it's
they've
very
started to
low
go up
barrier.
a little bit, but it's still affordable, I'd say.
No, 100%. 100%. I think you make a good point with, especially with the Section 8, that takes a little bit more of it off your plate with the rent collection. Obviously, still a lot to do, but I think, that's what we'd like to focus on next year. Is I'd like to give it a shot. I don't like to do anything super small. We want to take a conservative effort and try to push the Section 8 route, just to have that a, a little bit of like comfortability. The government's paying the note on those units, and so if the commercial sits for a little bit of time, or we have vacancies in our standard units, we always know that government checks coming in.
Yeah. No, I'm telling you, man, it's a huge relief because even your best tenant might slip up after 2 years they're living there. Best cash tenant, they're paying great. Above Section 8, let's say, they might slip up, go through hard times, and then you're put in that hard position. Like, okay, when the sixth day comes, am I going to put the eviction notice up? Or, am I going to deal with his word that he's going to have it paid in 3 weeks? Right. And then you look like the idiot for not evicting right away. And now you're burning time. Right. It's like where you said where you're
Mhm.
at, it could take 2 months. So from the day you decide to pull the trigger, plus 2 months could be 3 months of lost rent. and you compare that to a Section 8 tenant where you're only missing out on their portion if they're late, which could be a couple $100. It's not the full amount.
Exactly. You're either the asshole for evicting somebody too quickly or the idiot for not evicting them soon enough and taking them at their word that they're going to pay. And it's a very fine line where, I don't don't make your problems my problems. I try to be a little bit meaner than I am. Pay your rent or get out is like what I want to be. And I find it so difficult when someone comes to me, they go, "Listen, this happened. I need 3 weeks and I can get it paid." And, the older I get, the more I think I get better about drawing that line in the sand of this is a business transaction. As much as I want to help you, I can't help everybody. And if I help everybody, I'm only going to like put myself in a hole. And so it has to be that, we give everybody till the 5th. By the 8th, get a notice. And if they have 7 days from that point after that notice to where we file for an eviction, once we filed, that's it. You have like there is no more recourse. You get 5 days, 8 days, and then really 15 days. And if we always work with people, if you tell me, hey, the first is difficult for me, can I pay half the first, half the 15th? That's fine. I'll always work with you if it's consistent. That's my thing is just pay me when the same time every month. You could pay me on the 15th, the whole thing. If that's what you need, we'll set the lease up that way. We'll work. The first is arbitrary. The first is just the standard that somebody said at some point. It didn't have to be that way. But at the same time, to your point, you're either the asshole that kicks an old lady out, or you're the idiot that let the old lady stay too long. And I use old lady as a example. It's not usually the old ladies that walk out.
But that's the truth though, right? Like it's an emotional thing at the end of the day, and it's a fine line, like you said. It's business versus your emotions at the end of the day. Like you want to help people, right? But you also want to make money and not lose money. Because now, if I go
Yeah,
3 months without any money coming in, now I'm in a hole. And yeah, it's not like it's that much of a difference, right? That 3 weeks, let's say, that I lost initially, but still, it adds up. Definitely adds up over time. And you have to have a mindset in real estate that you're going to keep these houses forever, right? They're not a
yes,
quick, stock. Like AI is the new hot stock now. So all these people are dumping their money into AI, and half of them are going to get burned in the next 12 months, and half might make money over the next couple decades. A lot of money, probably, right? But do you have the balls to stay in, right? When you're looking at the stocks every day, one day it's red, one day it's green, you go crazy. Where like houses, it doesn't fluctuate like that. It's just a consistent 90% of the time, I'd say, uptrend. You know, you get those bad like 2008s that come around, but it's almost been 20 years and we haven't seen something like that.
for sure,
Kind of like rambled
for
off
sure.
there,
Well,
but I mean, there's so
no,
much to talk
listen, you
about when it comes to real estate. It's
No, there really is. I think that's the point of these conversations for me is other people's perspective. We don't see a lot of I see a I don't see enough people in our industry gravitate towards real estate. A lot of people, liquidation is kind of a little bit like the stock market to me. We have a lot of really good months and years, and a lot of people take that to be, you're always going to be on the uptick in the uptrend, and they don't plan for the inevitable downtick. Whereas we've always taken every uptick that we've had a bunch. We've taken that, we've pulled that money out, we've put it into something that will gradually increase over time. So when we do have those downticks in liquidation, it doesn't matter to me anymore. Like we've built a real estate portfolio that will probably this year make more than our liquidation business, which is probably the first time I can say that in 15 years. And it puts me in a really good spot on the liquidation side. I don't make as many crappy deals anymore because I come from a place where now if I get this deal or not, I don't care. Like I want the deal if it's a good one, but I make enough money over here in the real estate to where I can walk away from a crappy deal in liquidation. And I think it's been a great feeling the last year or so, realizing that. And we've walked away from some deals that, 2 years ago I would have been crushed to lose. I think I'd love to see more people kind of gravitate towards that where they start taking their liquidation profits or just any profits in general. You don't have to be in liquidation. A lot of resellers that we work with. I mean, freight broker, obviously. Like you were able to take enough capital from your job and set that aside and invest in it. People can do it at any level, and there's not really a reason not to. So I think it's conversations like this is super important because it just shows people that anybody at any level can invest in real estate at any point in their lives and get started.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you said. You just got to get started, right? Everybody looks at like Instagram and TikTok and sees like the fake world. These people like so rich and oh my God, buy this course on real estate. Like, it's really not that. It's like, just try to run your numbers, taxes, insurance, whatever the interest rates are. Okay, let's say my costs are $1,000 a month and it's going to rent for 1,700. Okay, it's not bad, but if your costs are
Yeah.
1,500, it's only going to rent 1,700, then you got to run away, like you still have to have it's the same thing as liquidation, like you're saying, right? Like I figure you buy a truckload for $5,000. The freight's 5,000, so it's 10,000, and I need to flip this thing for 30 grand, right? Or because I still have to pay all my workers, my whoever. Like, there's more added costs. It's not just the truckload and the freight, right? And it might even be
Yeah.
more. You might have to move them for 50 grand. I don't know the liquidation exactly, but it's the same type of thing. Just the numbers got to make
No, it's
sense.
a
Like, I always
constant
had this rule where, like, my main rule was 2%, right? Like, I know there's this golden 1% real estate rule. House costs 100 grand. I got to rent it for 2,000 or 1,000 and I'll make my money. But that doesn't work when interest rates are 7, 8%. That worked when rates were 3 or
Yeah, I think that's
4%, you know,
yeah.
even 5%. Like, you could have made it possibly by. And now if I'm buying something for 50,000, then it's got to do 2%, right? It's got to do at least 1,000 a month in rent. And typically I could find something for like 50 grand and rent it for, 12 to 1,500. So I'm almost at 3% on something like that
Yeah.
nowadays.
No,
But
that's
it's getting
great.
thinner and thinner. But, that 1%, I think minimum you should be at is like 1.7, but it's all market dependent too, right? Like, the market I'm in is pretty good still, but it's changing and housing's getting expensive, but rents are going up too. So
Yeah,
that's good.
for sure. Well, hey, I am 15 minutes late for an appointment. Actually, I'm looking at one of our buildings. Um, Let me sign off with you right now. I know we'll talk more. I have zero doubt, especially since we're doing some business with you and Colin on the LTL side. Um,
Yeah, for
I really
sure.
appreciate you with us. Like I said, these conversations I think really benefit a lot of people. Uh, you know, Taylor's she's watching, she's producing, she'll edit it, she'll clean it up, she'll clip it. We'll get some people to watch hopefully. And no, I think it's just a good thing to just have conversations about real estate for people to listen to and ask questions about. And you very, very knowledgeable with the Section 8. I had several questions, and that to me was more than worth the time talking because I love
Oh,
learning
for sure.
anything, especially stuff I don't know anything. So I definitely appreciate you
You
taking
could
an hour.
you could DM me. You could DM me. I'll give you my cell number if you want. You got questions, dude. You could send them right over.
No, 100%. I will 100% be doing that today when we get off.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
grab
for
your number
sure.
and
I mean,
we'll
Section
stay
8,
in touch
Section
because I'm
8,
sure
real
I'll have
estate,
questions.
90% of the time is real estate too,
100%.
All right. Well, it was a pleasure being on here.